Close your eyes and imagine this. It's a warm summer day in the year 1795. On a small island off the coast of Nova Scotia, Canada, a teenager named Daniel McGinnis wanders through the woods. The island is quiet, with tall trees swaying in the breeze and the salty scent of the Atlantic Ocean lingering in the air. Suddenly, Daniel stops. Something unusual catches his eye. On the ground, he notices a round depression in the earth, almost like the soil had been disturbed long ago. Above it, an old oak tree stands tall, and hanging from its thick branch is a weathered rope. Could it have been used for lowering something heavy into the ground? Daniel feels a rush of curiosity. His heart beats faster. Has he stumbled upon something hidden, something secret, something that's been waiting for centuries to be discovered? What Daniel doesn't know is this. He has just uncovered the beginning of what would become one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in history, the Oak Island mystery. Oak Island is small, just about 140 acres. Yet despite its size, it has drawn in adventurers, explorers, engineers, treasure hunters, and even television crews for more than 200 years. The island sits in Mahone Bay, surrounded by hundreds of other islands. At first glance, it looks ordinary, peaceful, green, and quiet. But beneath its soil, many believe, lies a buried treasure so great it could change history. Some claim the treasure was hidden by pirates. Others whisper it might be linked to the Knights Templar or the lost crown jewels of France. And still, others believe it could be ancient manuscripts, perhaps even proof of something world-changing, like Shakespeare not being the true author of his plays, or religious artifacts such as the Ark of the Covenant or the Holy Grail itself. But how did such extraordinary theories come to be? It all starts with what has become famously known as the Money Pit. After spotting the depression in the ground in 1795, Daniel McGinnis rushed to tell his friends Anthony Vaughan and John Smith. Together, the three young men decided to dig. With each strike of their shovels, their excitement grew. Just 2 feet down, they hit flat stones. Could it be a marker? A cover? They kept digging. At 10 feet deep, they found a layer of logs laid across the pit. Strange. Who would go to such lengths to bury something? They dug further. At 20 feet, another layer of logs. At 30 feet, more logs. The pattern was clear. Every 10 feet, a platform of oak logs had been deliberately placed. Someone had engineered this pit. But for what? Treasure? Secrets? Something dangerous? By the time they reached 30 feet, exhaustion overtook them. They had no advanced tools, no modern equipment. The boys had to give up, but the seed of curiosity was planted. Oak Island would never again know peace. Nearly a decade later, in 1804, a group called the Onslow Company returned to the site with the determination to solve the mystery once and for all. They picked up where Daniel and his friends had left off. At 40 feet, logs. At 50 feet, logs. At 60 feet, another platform. The men dug deeper and deeper until they reached 90 feet. There, they discovered something incredible, a flat stone, unlike any found naturally on the island. Carved into it were strange symbols. No one knew what they meant. Some claimed it was a code. Years later, one translation suggested it read, 40 feet below, 2 million pounds are buried. Excitement soared. 2 million pounds, equivalent to billions today, was an unimaginable fortune. The men believed they were close to cracking the mystery. But Oak Island was not about to give up its secrets so easily. At around 90 feet, when the workers removed the stone and continued digging, something terrifying happened. Without warning, water began to rush into the pit. It wasn't just a trickle, it was a flood. The men scrambled to escape as the shaft quickly filled with seawater. They tried bailing it out, they tried digging new shafts nearby, but no matter what they did, the water returned. It was as if the pit had been designed with an advanced flood system, pulling in water from the sea itself. How could this be? Who in history had the knowledge to create such an elaborate trap? The treasure was so close, yet now completely out of reach. The Money Pit had claimed its first major victory. By the early 1800s, whispers spread across Nova Scotia and beyond. Who had buried something on Oak Island and why? Some said it was Captain Kidd, the infamous Scottish pirate, who was rumored to have buried treasure across the world. Could Oak Island be one of his hiding spots? Others believed it might be connected to the French Navy during the 18th century, hiding wealth from the British. And still others thought it went back even further, perhaps to the Spanish, who may have hidden treasure plundered from the Americas. But the most intriguing theories suggested something far more mysterious. Some researchers connected Oak Island to the Knights Templar, the medieval order of warrior monks who supposedly held the greatest treasures of Christianity, including the Holy Grail. Could they have hidden their artifacts on a remote island in Canada? The deeper people dug into history, the more the legend grew. As the years passed, more companies tried and failed to recover the treasure. Each time, the pit flooded. Each time, hope turned into frustration. And soon, Oak Island gained a reputation, not just as a mystery, but as a cursed place. Over the centuries, at least 6 people have died while trying to uncover the treasure. Locals began to whisper that a prophecy surrounded the island. The treasure will not be found until 7 men have died. This chilling legend only fueled the obsession. After all, the idea of a curse made the mystery even more irresistible. One of the strangest details about Oak Island is just how complex the Money Pit's design seems to be. Engineers and geologists have studied it, and many agree it looks like a highly advanced system of tunnels, platforms, and flood traps. But here's the strange part. This construction appears to date back hundreds of years, long before such engineering was common in North America. How could anyone in the 1600s or 1700s have built something so sophisticated? And if they went to all this trouble, what could possibly be so valuable or so dangerous that it had to be buried this way? At this point, the mystery was unstoppable. Each failed expedition only deepened the legend. People weren't just looking for treasure anymore, they were searching for answers. And yet, the more answers they sought, the more confusing Oak Island became. The Money Pit had defeated the Onslow Company. The water traps had won. But Oak Island was not finished with humanity yet. For the next 2 centuries, wave after wave of treasure hunters would come. And with every dig, every discovery, and every tragedy, the mystery only deepened. In the 1840s, nearly 50 years after the first dig, a group called the Truro Company launched a new effort. By then, the legend had grown. The men believed treasure worth millions was buried below. This time, instead of digging straight down, they tried drilling into the pit. Their drill cut through layers of oak logs, clay, and most intriguingly, something solid that sounded like metal. The drill brought up tiny fragments of gold chain. Later, it even brought up what appeared to be fibers of parchment, with faint traces of ink. Was this proof of treasure? Was there a chest of gold and ancient manuscripts waiting just below? The discovery sent shockwaves through Nova Scotia. But still, the floodwaters prevented further digging. The treasure remained just out of reach, taunting those who dared to come close. By now, people had more than treasure on their minds. The possibilities of what lay beneath Oak Island became larger than life. Pirates' gold. Many believed Captain Kidd or Blackbeard had hidden their stolen loot here. Blackbeard himself was said to boast that he buried his treasure where none but Satan and myself can find it. The Knights Templar. Could medieval knights fleeing persecution in Europe have crossed the Atlantic and buried holy relics here? The engineering of the pit seemed too advanced for pirates. Was it instead the work of the Templars, protecting their sacred artifacts? The crown jewels of France. During the French Revolution, Marie Antoinette's jewels vanished. Some say loyalists smuggled them to Nova Scotia and buried them on Oak Island. Shakespeare's lost manuscripts. A fringe theory suggests that original manuscripts of Shakespeare's plays were hidden here, possibly proving he was not their true author. Each theory added fuel to the obsession. Each dig brought more adventurers ready to risk everything. The curse of Oak Island became more terrifying as the years passed. In 1861, during one expedition, a worker was killed when a pump engine exploded while trying to drain the flooded pit. In later years, others fell into shafts and drowned. By the 20th century, the legend of the curse was well known. 7 men must die before the treasure is found. So far, 6 have died. This number alone keeps people glued to the story, waiting, wondering if the curse will be fulfilled. One of the most heartbreaking moments came in 1965. A man named Robert Riestall moved to the island with his family, determined to solve the mystery he and his son dug near the Money Pit. But disaster struck. While working in one of the shafts, Robert was overcome by poisonous gas that had seeped in from underground. His son, seeing his father collapse, rushed in to help. But he too was overcome. In a matter of minutes, both were dead. 2 more workers who tried to rescue them also died. 4 men gone. The island had claimed more lives. The curse had struck again. By the late 20th century, Oak Island's fame had spread worldwide. Adventurers came with modern tools, pumps, drills, and even divers. But each time, Oak Island fought back. Shafts collapsed, floods destroyed equipment, and every find raised more questions than answers. In 1967, 2 men, David Tobias and Dan Blankenship, took control of much of the island. They spent decades searching, convinced treasure was within reach. Blankenship himself claimed to have found evidence of tunnels and strange artifacts. But it wasn't until the 21st century that Oak Island's legend reached living rooms around the globe. In 2014, the History Channel launched a show called The Curse of Oak Island. It followed brothers Rick and Marty Lagina, who had dreamed of solving the mystery since childhood. With modern technology, the Laginas and their team began a systematic exploration. They used sonar, metal detectors, drilling rigs, and even high-tech scans. And they made fascinating discoveries, fragments of metal that could be from ancient tools. A lead cross some believe is connected to the Knights Templar, coins, pottery, and wood dating back hundreds of years. Evidence of flood tunnels engineered beneath the island. The show became a sensation, with millions watching each season, hoping the next dig would reveal the truth. And yet, the treasure itself still remains hidden. Here's the biggest question. After more than 200 years, with millions of dollars spent and countless lives lost, is there really anything there? Some skeptics say no. They argue the Money Pit meant nothing more than a natural sinkhole. They suggest the flooding wasn't a trap, but underground channels connected to the sea. The strange stone inscriptions? Maybe hoaxes. The gold chain and parchment? Possibly misinterpreted or lost to history. But believers counter with this. How do you explain the layers of oak logs placed every 10 feet? How do you explain the carefully built flood system? How do you explain centuries of consistent discoveries of unusual artifacts? If Oak Island is a hoax, it is the most elaborate, expensive, and enduring hoax in history. Maybe the real treasure of Oak Island isn't gold or jewels. Maybe it's the mystery itself. For over 200 years, Oak Island has captured imaginations. People risked their fortunes, their reputations, even their lives, and each time, just enough evidence was found to keep the legend alive. Think about it. A teenager in 1795 stumbles upon a strange depression under an oak tree. More than 2 centuries later, millions of people across the world are still wondering what lies beneath. That's not just a hole in the ground. That's a story powerful enough to outlive generations. As of today, Oak Island has not revealed its greatest secret. The Money Pit remains flooded. The treasure, if it exists, remains buried. 6 men have died, and the curse says 1 more must fall before the treasure is claimed. Is there really something waiting below? A pirate's chest? A knight's relic? Or simply the hope of discovery itself? One thing is certain. Oak Island will not be forgotten. The search continues. The mystery endures, and perhaps one day the island will finally reveal the truth. But until then, Oak Island remains what it has always been. A riddle, a legend, a story that keeps us digging, not just in the earth, but in our imaginations. If you've been carried away by this journey into one of history's most enduring mysteries, don't stop here. Subscribe to Shadows Untouched for more deep dives into strange facts, historical mysteries, and the secrets the world still refuses to give up. Who knows, the next mystery we uncover together may just be stranger than Oak Island itself.